Hello, everyone. This is the Psychology of Human Relationships, and this is part one of Ethics and Values. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that you have your PowerPoint on. We're going to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that's right at the beginning of this presentation. If you don't have the PowerPoint, that's fine. You can follow exactly what we're talking about if you're just simply interested in the subject and happen to be watching. If you would, please subscribe. Please hit the bell that lets you know when other videos are available, and tell me whether you like it or not. All right, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the thing to remember is that this is not a new way of thinking about things. This has been around for quite some time. Abraham Maslow concocted this many decades ago, but it stands the test of time in some ways, because it allows us, in this case, to talk about how things are connected to each other in terms of the difference between survival and in terms of social requirements or psychological requirements for doing well in the world. So he decided that he could tell that at lower levels of this hierarchy, arranged in a triangle or pyramid, at the bottom level were things that were of a biological nature that are required to sustain life. The first level of the basic needs, as he called them, are food, water, warmth, rest, and in his original material added procreative sex. And we won't talk about that at this point. So we'll just talk about food, water, warmth, rest, which are the basic things you need to survive as a living organism. So without one of those, food, water, warmth, rest, it's over. And so think about this for a moment. When people are not able to count on food, water, warmth, or rest, that's what they're going to need. That's what they're going to go for. That's what they're going to be most interested in acquiring right away. Yeah? So anyone who doesn't have those things will be laser focused on acquiring them. Let's for a moment suggest that a person or a family or a community has these things for the most part. They are not in danger of losing them. They can count on them in some kind of sustained way. Then the next layer up of these basic needs are safety needs, and these are security and safety. Okay? So if you have the basic food, water, warmth, rest needs met, then you will next be interested in securing those needs, securing those items, and then also having some level of safety in the world right in your immediate vicinity. Okay? So let's suppose that the four basic food, water, warmth, rest is met, and then safety, security is met. If anything on that lowest level, food, water, warmth, rest, is in danger, you're going to focus on that, and you're going to let the safety and security needs go for the time being. You see how this is starting to work. Okay, so let's say food, water, warmth, rest is met. Safety, security is met. Okay, you can count on those. Your food, water, warmth, rest is secure, and you have some level of safety such that none of those things are in danger of being lost. Then the next layer up is the first of what he called the psychological needs, and that is belongingness and love needs, which means essentially that you're now focusing on the development of close relationships, including love relationships and friendships. Okay? And so those are what constitute belongingness and love needs. Now, if any of those two layers below it, the safety needs or the physiological needs, food, water, warmth, rest, safety, security, are in danger, you're going to not focus. You're not going to have the energy or time or patience, really, to focus on intimate relationships and friendships. you're going to be focused down below. You've got to have those below you. Okay? So let's think about this in a broader context with an example. Okay? So if you are seeing families that are destitute or newly in danger of losing their basic needs, then you're seeing a family that's going to almost immediately or soon thereafter begin to suffer in terms of their primary relationships. This is one of the reasons that is basically untaught, I suspect, that in fact, when those basic needs, food, water, warmth, rest, safety, security needs are not met, then you're going to see an attrition of the quality of the core relationships. This is what you see when people are poverty-stricken and they don't have a consistency in the food, water, warmth, rest, safety, or security. Okay? It is more likely that you will see people who are then having lots of trouble in family relationships and in friendships and in love relationships. They become more unmoored, perhaps more chaotic. Okay? But let's say the first three levels are met. Food, water, warmth, rest, safety, security, and I'll just call the gold level that he has in gold here, cuddles, psychological and physical cuddling. So you now have described what all human beings need for psychological well-being: food, water, warmth, rest, safety, security, and cuddling, or cuddles. All babies need that. And that is the underlying set of issues for good attachment of newborns. So let's say those three levels are met. Then you're going to go up to what he called esteem needs: prestige and a feeling of accomplishment, particularly among your your peers, but also internal to you. Okay, so that will be the next thing. And then again, if relationship needs below it are in trouble, that's what you'll go to, and you'll not look for prestige and feelings of accomplishment. Then if a belongingness, love needs is in danger, that's what you'll go to. If safety needs are in danger, that's what you'll go to. If physiological needs, food, water, warmth, rest is in danger, that's what you'll go to. So the layers above, whatever need level is in danger or slipping by you, you will descend to that level. And the ones that you were working on that are above it are not ones you're working on. That should tell you an awful lot about structural problems within societies as they are manifested within individuals as well as families and intimate relationships. Yeah. Now, he said there was a level at the top, and that's self-actualization, where you're pumping on all cylinders, where you're exercising your full potential, where all your activities are creative and juicing is occurring in a good way. So that implied in that is that all the layers below it are in good shape, and there's lots of people where those layers below it are not working well. So they don't have those self-actualization moments or periods, which generally are somewhat fleeting. They don't exist for long periods of time, except a very, very few people. But as a society, what we could think of is allowing for the appropriate ways for food, water, warmth, rest, safety, and security to be met by everyone. To have the structures in place, the programs in place to allow for those things to be in shape. You would see an improvement in relationships all across the board. You would see the attainment of esteem needs. You would see self-esteem, therefore, going up culturally. And in fact, that's what you see when you look at countries like Sweden, for example, where programs and that's not the only place, but programs that allow for those layers to be secure. You see self-esteem measured at a cultural level going way up. There's lots of research on that. So, let's now talk about the difference between what maturity is and immaturity. Okay? And we're going to get partway through this, and we'll pick it up on part 2, this being part 1. So I want you to notice the difference, because although these two opposite poles represent poles of a continuum, you're going to have a temptation to see yourself at one end or the other. I don't want you to do that. I would rather you see this as a continuum. Okay? So what is it that makes for someone who is not fully cooked? As my mother used to say, the cornbread is not completely done in the middle and needs more oven time. So one aspect of immaturity is impulsivity, not being able to wait for things that are important, and doing things without thinking and considering the outcomes first. That's immaturity. A mature person is capable of delayed gratification, particularly of the things that are more important, that are important enough to wait for, that they must think about waiting for. Think about what it is they need to acquire that thing that's important. Okay? Immature people also rely more on emotion to make decisions, which is not a good idea. We generally want people who are in an emotional state, in a crisis situation, to not make important decisions, or really any decisions of any size at those times, but wait until the emotions cool down, which is another way of saying that we're waiting for reason to kick in. And that's what mature people do. They rely more on reason when making big decisions. They don't ignore emotion. Emotions are important. Emotions are the filling in the sandwich. They're the sweet stuff in between the cookies. Immature people have goals that are somewhat inconsistent and may be changeable over shorter periods of time. They don't yet have a good sense of themselves yet to have consistent goals. And mature people have a sense of direction because they know themselves better and they know what direction they're headed for. Immature people are more likely to consider love as a dependency, as opposed to mature people who consider love to be an interdependent venture. A lot could be said about that. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. We'll talk more about that later in the course. Immature people don't value commitment as much, and may have commitment as being connected to things like outcomes instead of intention. Mature people value commitment and see commitment as a durable arrangement, a durable contract, in a sense, with themselves and perhaps others. Immature people love excitement and have a tendency to even generate excitement where there isn't any, as a sign that they're alive, as a sign that this is life. Okay? Exciting. Mature people, they like stability, but the research also tells us that romantic couples do better when they do some exciting things from time to time and work on things together as joint projects. Immature people have values that are not as clear. They're not around long enough to have a strong sense of their core values, whereas mature people are clear in their values. Their core values are known to them, and they support them with their behavior. Immature people are ones who either feel invincible or very vulnerable, and mature people use their strengths and remediate their weaknesses. So mature people tend to persevere, whereas immature people may give up more easily. Part 2 coming up.